Hello everyone. My name is Derya Geylani Vurus, and today I would like to talk about my works, but I will explain it through my glass journey in Turkey, and I will also mention about traditional glass blowing technique Çeşme Bülbül during my presentation. And thanks for listening to me. So first I want to show my country. Turkey is where it's located in Europe, and I'm from Turkey and I live in Istanbul. I have my studio in Istanbul. So here is Istanbul, is located in Turkey. As you see, maybe some of you already have been to Turkey, Istanbul. And yes, I born in Istanbul, and till my high school, I was educated in there too. And since my childhood, there were many glass points, glass centers in Istanbul. We call the centers Beykoz. So I was really fascinated by those centers, and I was really into glass, and I really wanted to know glass more about technique, and I wanted to discover this fascinating material. Therefore, I was checking all the centers, and I really wanted to have this academic education as well. So while I was searching my bachelor, and I recognized that there is only one university in Turkey which is giving this academic education for 4 years. So I could learn everything in there. So I started my bachelor degree in Eskişehir. It's not in Istanbul, but it's another city in Turkey. Anadolu University, Fine Arts Faculty, Glass Department. So I started my bachelor degree for 4 years. And I would like to show some of our studio in our university. And head of the glass department, Professor Mustafa Atekin, is also my professor, and he has his he's the one of the participants, IBG, and here is our faculty and our university. You can see the studios, hot shop, and there are other studios too. And I'm also giving flame working classes in my university. So you can also see on the left side, my students are working in the flame working area. So after my bachelor degree, I would like to continue my education, higher education, and I wanted to continue my higher education in Istanbul. So I came back to Istanbul. There was another university called Mimar Sinan Fine Arts University, and there was a glass department there as well, but they were glass and ceramics department. And also, I was more into experiment glass with other materials, and I was trying to discover, and I was searching for the different exhibitions, competitions, and while I was searching it, and I met with the glass furnace in Istanbul, Cam Ocağı Vakfı. Maybe some of you were already there as artists, but I would like to thanks to the glass furnace, because as a old glass student and new glass artist, all Turkish artists and international glass artists came across with the glass furnace, because it's an international glass center, has a huge facilities in hot shop studio and animal studio and casting, fusing, flame working. So they have many other techniques that they show us, and you can maybe also search the website, because every year many different international glass artists came there, and they teach classes for 15 or 20 days. And I was one of the students, the lucky one actually, because I could really assist and meet with the artists there, and really they opened my eyes to the glass world, and I could come till here. So thanks to glass furnace. And in 2014, I guess, there was an exhibition organized by the glass furnace called Turkish Glass Art, and it was in Costa Boda, but it was a competitive exhibition, and I was really excited. And these years I was new graduated student, so I said I should be really in that exhibition. So I was really searching for how can I show my glass talents, and then I prepared the taste in 2014. So I thought that I could also mention to traditional glass blowing technique, which we call Çeşmi Bülbül. Maybe you already heard about it. And then this optical mold, so is a sign of traditional glass technique. And the fork with spaghetti-shaped glass was the taste of Turkish glass. So I prepared this work, and I was one of the chosen artists, so I was really happy. But in here, I would like to show you detailed photographs, and I would like to go back to history a little bit to mention you and show you this beautiful Çeşmi Bülbül technique that I inspired by for my work. So this is as you see, I casted I took the mold of the optic mold, and then I cast it. So I would like to mention you about a little bit of the history, that how Turkey started the glass journey in Ottoman time. Selim III, one of the old Ottoman sultans, who saw the development of the Industrial Revolution, started to complete the new and very brave period of change in Ottoman glass craftsmanship, and Beykoz glass making emerged. As I mentioned you in the beginning, Beykoz is located in Istanbul, and it's the very center for the glass making. And so the Çeşmi Bülbül is this technique, as you see, and these works belongs to the Topkapı Palace collection. The visuality of the spirals formed by the colored glass rods used in the production of Çeşmi Bülbül, as well as the fact that it was a concept suitable for the colors and poetic atmosphere of the Bosphorus of the period, affected the choice of the name, because you can see as a sign that in Çeşmi Bülbül technique, always blue and white colors are used by the glass masters in that time. So I have a small video made by the glass furnace, the Cam Ocağı Vakfı, and my talented video artist, Serhat Özdemir. I would like to show you that video now, but it's very short, don't worry. Oops. How can I start the video? So here is the glass furnace as well. So the mold for transition rebuild, optical mold that I use in my work. Glass master. So these white and blue stripes are the signature of Jeounghee technique. And in 2014, I also continued working with that series, Taste 2, and some details. I also started to work with flame working in these days, so I could shape this borosilicate rods as a spaghetti, so I could make a fun of it. Here, some other works, casted cold worked molds and spoon and fork as a sign of the taste. So I continued in 2016 with these works, but I started to experience more with the other materials like metal and porcelain and other stuff out of glass. So I like to really experience with glass in here. So I could use the movement of glass. So I could say that why I do use glass as a material in my artworks. So I use these metal cookie molds, and I could also combine the technique with the concept and the story behind my work. And the grill with the metal and glass works. And then while I was using these experimentations, and then I started to use glass as a sign of the movement and the moment. And I also started the new series with the hand casting. So from 2016, I did unsent letter, so hot-shaped letter, engraved a love letter on it, and then metal scissors and the casting hands together. Another work, touch with the casting combination. So I also did these works during my residency program in the glass furnace. Story about my village. So in 2017, I prepared this work for an organization about cancer. So this balloon was a sign of hope. So I engraved hope in different 47 languages on the balloon. So I blowed the balloon first, and then I put together with the casting glass hand. So it was like a touching to hope. And I continue to work with hands as a sign of very important moments, because I think moments are very important in our lives. We always rush for everything, and we should remind those very important, remarkable moments. And then this is about the immigration story. And this is a hand of immigrant as a sign of a free bird trying to fly away, but they are stuck in their home. So the home is a sign of a bird with the metal fires, which we use in the border. So then I still experience with glass, but I would like to also talk about the works that my recent works from 2018. I was still experiencing with the glass with other materials, and then I said that okay, maybe this is too small, so I should make a bigger one. And then I did the metal fork and the spoon, and then I said okay, so it could be better shown in this way with the size. So the Hunger Games was an installation work as a sign of the purity in the world, because some people can find the food easily, but some are not. So the glass is there, but it's transparent and you cannot see it. Therefore, I wanted to combine my work with the different collected porcelain plates, which I collected from all around the world as a sign of the world, actually. So this was the whole installation process. And for this installation, I used a cup as well, a teacup, and then I started to experience with other materials, as I told you, porcelains, but I started to work with cups. So the movement still was my interest with glass. So I use old porcelain cup to show the moment, to keep the moment, because as I told you, we always in a rush and we forget these important moments. And I combine technique and my story in these works. And I applied another design award competition in craft section. So my moment series was awarded with silver this year. and the White Knight series that I chosen with this work for IBG. And some of my recent work. And for these works, Mackenzie Child is an American brand. So they asked me to collaborate with this brand, and so I picked some pieces from them, and then we made a huge installation. I wanted to show this collaboration as well as a video. So in my studio, my sketching and processing. So this was the preparation video. And then I also want to show you the finished work in the store. So I hanged my pieces to show there were no gravity there. It was the concept, so everything was flying. So I could show the movement there, and the movement that is frozen. I also want to share another collaboration with Yeni Rakı. Maybe you already know about Rakı if you have been in Istanbul to Turkey. It's an alcohol drink in Turkey, and they asked me to design a rakı cup for them. So I used their glass, and then I wanted to show the moment, the wave of the sea, because rakı is very good with fish. So when you see the rakı cup, then you can really inspired by the sea, and you can remind the fish there. And I want to show my final video. So thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you very much to everyone that organized this beautiful event for us. It was really nice and pleasure to meet you all in here. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. Hello, my name is Jeounghee Kim. Thank you very much for inviting the exhibition. And I am artist South Korea. My history. In 2004, I first learned glass at Namseol University in South Korea. There, I met the professor who had studied in France. They taught me a lot of techniques and gave me artistic inspiration. I fall in love to France. Finally, in 2010, I came to Strasbourg, France, France to study art object. I am graduated at Art Decorative de Strasbourg, and in 2013, I wanted to develop my artistic vision. I am studying sculpture and at the Royal Academy of Fine Art in Belgium as a master. And then in 2013, I moved to Paris. Now I work in France and Belgium. I started the presentation from this piece represent the space of water in a flat ongi dish, Korean elsewhere. Ongi is used for various purposes and takes different forms. While celadon and white porcelain are made with fine soil, for ongi, clay is mixed with tiny stones and baked in a kiln. During this process, clay melts partially and small pores are made. These pores do not let water leak, but let air flow through. This is why ongi is called the powdering that breathes. It is Korea traditional powdering. Okay, technique and production process. Extra clear glass with the thickness of 8 mm is cut off. Mother of pearl is placed in between glass plate and use epoxy to glue them together. A grinder is opted with a diamond blade to engrave on the curved part. This creates a contrasting pad as the top is the smooth glass surface and the curved side has a rough texture like a stone. Okay. Detail of the piece. when I was little, I saw black ongi powdering whenever I went to my hometown. That ongi was always filled with water. Sometimes it was overflowing, and other times there was almost no water. Light is commonly formed on the surface of water. When I touched the water surface with my little hand, it felt like touching light and water. Both water and light flowing out of my hand. Detail. Water always flows from top to bottom and makes a pool somewhere. Then it disappears over time. Light begins somewhere and form somewhere as well. Just like that, life begins somewhere and as somewhere else. The inner space of ongi is the space where water and light are emptied and filled continuously. This is quite similar to our lives. I thought such spaces were interesting. This piece captures the memory from my childhood. The space with mother of pearl in this work is light that was formed in the flat ongi, while the other part with no mother of pearl represent the shadow made by the roof of the house on the ongi. The space of empty space filled with ongi is filled with water and light. I wanted to created the piece for the space of ongi that is filled and emptied constantly as the powdering filled with water and light. ongi. I like cold working, detail. I try different form. Detail. Laminating. I try drawing. I'm maître de nacre. I'm sorry. Okay. La forme house. Mountain. From in the my hand. This is. Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Frantis. I came to Sofia with my wife, Martina, and we want to introduce our studio, which we call in Czech Vedvo. It's really difficult to find equivalent in English. By two is close to it. This is our wedding photo from 2015. We both, with my wife, graduated from the glass school in Kamenetsky-Shenov. This school was founded 1856, and it's regarded like the oldest glass school in the world. I graduated in 1971, and my wife 17 years later. So actually, we didn't know each other at the time. We met much later. This is the place where we used to live now. It's a small village. There are only 110 inhabitants, permanent inhabitants. This is our house. It's an old small farmhouse, and it was totally rebuilt some years ago. And that small house on bottom is a new sauna house. I constructed it this year. We love with my wife to go to sauna, and because COVID situation was very bad and we couldn't go to sauna in public space, so we decided to make it ourselves. This is our atelier. This is our gallery. And this is our coat shop. We have 3 ladies for glass cutting there. We have 4 mills. Those wooden ones, 3 of them, I constructed myself. And one of the ladies we can change easily into the diamond saw very quickly. It's the picture on bottom to the left. We have also a small sandblasting box in the yard because there is not enough space in the coat shop anymore. It must be in the outside. And in the middle, you can see a flex hand grinder, which is most popular tool lately because when we deal with the heavy, bigger pieces, it's a perfect tool for finishing, grinding, polishing. This is our kiln. It's a ceramic kiln. And as you know, ceramic kilns are not really good for glass making because they are very badly insulated. But we have a good controller, so actually we can do mold melting inside very easily without problem. My wife originally used to deal with ceramic only. And when we met about 15 years ago, she started with glass as well. And actually she became very successful. In 2014, she was selected for the exhibition in Denmark. at the exhibition was called Body Talk, and her piece was My Panties. I was also applying and I was not accepted. My wife was. And in 2016, we both applied for the competition in Novi Bor. Martina won the prize. I didn't win anything. So I became a little jealous, I must say, little by little. And in 2015, her piece was accepted for the international exhibition in Toyama in Japan. I was more clever. At that time, I didn't apply. I sent just Martina's piece there, and she was successful. Her piece was selected from 1,100 pieces, and only about 47 or 50 were accepted. So it was a big success for her. So I was really a little jealous afterwards. But I must say, at the same time, I was happy because I could think that I am a good teacher, right? This is the last exhibition where Martina take part. It's called Soul of Glass. It's held at the museum in Jablonec nad Nisou in Czech Republic. And her piece, Old Timers, is there. And next year in June, this exhibition will go to Paris, to France. Now you can see our process of making our melted sculptures. Every time we start with clay, then we must execute the mold. Then we have to invest glass into it. It's melted, and then we must clean up the piece. You can see Martina doing it. It's her piece, which is called Daniel in the Lion's Den. That year we were to Israel in 2018, and actually Martina got some sort of ideas there, and she created these two pieces, which are named Jeremiah Cry and Daniel in the Lion's Den. There is a lot of code working every time on our pieces. Since Martina was dealing with ceramic at the beginning, and she's still dealing with ceramic, we also look for some possibilities how to combine ceramic with glass. So you can see her two pieces where glass is incorporated in ceramic piece. There are a few her last objects made in 2020 and 2021. That piece to the left, pork herder, let's say it's a political piece a little. Lately, we can see a lot of people doing everything to make happy their bosses, and people do anything. So Martina was making this piece to make fun of it, that some people do everything, anything to please the boss, like the pigs who are kissing the herder. And her last pieces, First Sin, and octopuses from this year. This is me. I was born in 1951, so I was celebrating my 70th this year, and I am dealing with glass from my age 15. So I have 55 years career behind me. And these are my self-portraits from different time. And you can see we don't get young anymore. Now I am ready to make another portrait after a few years. This is me. I started to deal with glass when I was 15 years old, and I was learning how to make a rich cutting on lead crystal, 24% lead crystal blanks. And actually, I was ready to be a worker, production worker at the Bohemia Glassworks. But after a while, I didn't like it that much, and I decided to continue my studies at the secondary school of glassmaking in Kamensky Shenov, where I was for 4 years at the code working department. Then I became a student of Professor Libensky at the Academy of Applied Arts in Prague. And because my education was mostly in co-working, my first art pieces were also closely connected with this technique. And it became quite successful, actually. This piece to the left is at the collection of the Museum of Applied Arts in Prague. And for the piece on the right, and for some more of these kind of things, I got a special prize in Coburg in 1985. But after a while, I was a little tired from cutting and polishing. Everything was too shiny. And also my back and my hands were a little sore from this heavy duty work. And I found the way how to cast hot glass into the plaster, which is not easy, actually. On the left, you see the half of the mold. On the right side, you see the final piece. My glass became ugly and unstructural. It was easier, actually, to execute it. I didn't need to polish it anymore. And this piece is now at the collection of Modern Museum of Art in Düsseldorf. I was also working for several years like a professional designer for different Czech glassworks, like Krystalex or Bohemia Glassworks, Moser Crystal. And that fish to the right, I designed for Steuben in Corning. And they were asking $6,000 for these pieces. Unbelievable. I would like to have that money. In 1995, I was invited to work like a visiting professor at the Toyama Institute of Glass Art. It's the place where already many Czech teachers were working, because Japanese made decision to invite American blowers to teach hot work, and Czech artists or Czech glassmakers to teach co-working. Anyway, I was teaching co-working there, but I was starting to deal with mold melting at that time. I was even preparing my own glass for my sculptures, as you can see. And the picture to the right is my piece, which is called Messenger. It's a commission work which I did for the Opera House in Toyama. It's about 4 meters long, and each piece of glass is about 10 kilos, and all of it was executed in Czech Republic. And it's hanging on cables from the ceiling. These are 2 pieces which I made in Toyama. I made more of them, but this is just a sample. After my arrival from Japan, I was invited to teach at the Secondary School of Glassmaking Kamiensky-Shenov. First, like a boss of the co-working department, later on I became director and vice director of the same school. In 2000, I was invited to America to teach at RIT in Rochester. They have college which is called School for American Crafts. It's containing 4 departments for glass, ceramic, wood, and metal. Those guys to the left, there are 2 students of mine, Chad Halliday and Alex Bernstein, who lately became very successful and famous American glass artists. So I am really proud of them. And the man to the left is Michael Rogers, quite famous American artist and teacher, who became a head of the glass department in Rochester when I left. I was also testing iron casting there. And in 2001, I took part at gas conference in Corning, and I was the member of the bunch of people who were competing how to make the perfect molds for hot casting. And it was organized by Mrs. Frolic from Toronto. You can see her on the picture. I was representing, of course, Czech Republic. There are 2 pieces of mine which I executed in Rochester at the time. And since that time, I was invited to come to teach in America almost every summer. And quite often we did workshops together with my former student, Chad Holiday, who was teaching me how to make hot casting into the sand. And this is it what I love in my career, that I don't only teach other people, I don't teach only my students, but also I am always getting a lot of knowledge and experience from my own students. So to be a teacher is sort of a good opportunity for everybody. So you can see two of my portraits, which I made at the time using this technique, sand casting. My last workshops in the United States happened in 2019. I was invited to Fossai in Minneapolis, where my former student, Chad Holiday, was a director at the time. And then we went together to Pittsburgh Glass Center, where we did together a class in cold-working. Pittsburgh Glass Center is a famous place, very good studio. I was helping them with their cold shop, actually. And I was there maybe already 7 times to teach and mostly doing workshops in cold-working. This is glass furnaces in Istanbul, Kamojai, how they call it. This is Elif Ilmaz Yalçınkaya. There is a bad name. He is a founder of the place. Very nice man, excellent guy. I was there, I think, already 3 times. We met there with Janusz Pozniak, a famous American blower, and we collaborated on these 3 vases, and we donated them into their shop because they need to generate money for studio. And Chad Holiday again, we did this class in cold-working. Some of my pieces from last time. This is the process. Every time I start with sketch, clay model. Your internet connection is unstable. We hope that it will go. There is a mold, and you can see investment with glass. And this is the final piece. Every time there is a lot of co-working. These 2 pieces were inspired by work of Turkish artist Mehmet Aksoy. They call him Turkish Michelangelo. He is a great sculptor. I visited his studio twice when I was to Turkey, and I saw his alabaster pieces, and they were so beautiful and nice that I got some sort of ideas how to make similar pieces in glass. Therefore, I call these pieces homage to Mehmet Aksoy because the inspiration came from his work. So this is our cold shop again, me working. In winter time, cold shop is a little cold. So when I go to make something, I have to wear warm things. Some pieces from the last time which I executed. Lately, I am focused on portraits. To the left is a Bohemian Emperor, Charles IV. On the right side, for the first Czechoslovakian president, Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk. These 3 guys are famous people from our county. Graphic artist Reinek, painter Zvavi, and a writer Zdeněk Matěj Kuděj. And my last pieces, Winston Churchill and Sergei Makhonynin was my tutor. He used to live nearby my studio. He was a great man, translator, writer, and we were discussing things a lot. And for me, he was very important man. Well, during the when COVID started, we were obliged to stay at home with my wife in quarantine. And my wife was so nice to work like a model for me. So I executed several paintings like this. Some of them are not publicly useful. So I am showing you only those ones. They are acceptable. We did with Martina together several trips, and we did together also some workshops around Europe and also in China. I was invited to glass furnace to like artists in residence. Martina executed there these two small sculptures for their shop, and I was cooperating with their blowers, and I was making these pieces for their shop, which you can see on top. In 2014, we both got chance to work at Glassworks Frantis. Formerly, it was abandoned, very bad place. It was totally destroyed. And some group of people took care of it, and they were asking for money from Europe, the European foundations. And they rebuilt it into the museum and into the studio. And I used to work there like an art manager, and Martina was there like a guider and educator. Inside, you can see a very big collection of modern glass, which was collected in Novi Bor during International Glass Symposiums. Also, Charlie Parriott had a big collection of his pieces inside. It's a good place to visit if you are coming to Czech Republic sometimes. But we are not working there anymore. In 2015, we were invited to China with my wife. We made a workshop in mold making at Guangdong Normal Polytechnic University in Guangzhou. And also I made a lecture about Czech modern glass at the University of Technology there. And imagine, it was Saturday, 7 o'clock. And I was telling myself, whoever will come Saturday evening to watch my lecture. But as you can see, the room is cramped. Glass making, or let's say studio glass in China, is really growing enormously. There are more than 20 universities where they have glass making departments. So therefore, you can see more and more Chinese artists at the exhibitions and competitions, because there are more and more people who are involved. I forgot this picture from Hong Kong. We couldn't get visa in Prague for some reason. It took forever. So our friends in China, at continental China, told us that if we go to Hong Kong, we can apply for Chinese visa there. Finally, we flew there. We didn't need visa for Hong Kong. And we gave our passport to somebody. He left. And after 3 days, he brought them back with visas. And I paid a lot of money for that, but we got visas. It was a little risky business, but we did it. And in 2016, there was another invitation for us to join the Glass Festival in Tianyuan. It was a great big event. There were hundreds and hundreds of things from all over the world exhibited. Also, a group of Czech artists was invited. You can see Vladimír Klein together with us. And the man to the right is Milan Hlaveš, former curator from the Academy of Applied Arts in Prague. And a workshop in Bildwerk with Martina. You can see Erwin Neisch to the left, who founded the place together with the city of Frauenau. Great man, original painter, but he was very involved in glass because his family was owning the factory in Frauenau. So this place, Bildwerk, is really nice to go, to see, to work, and to take workshops. The good thing is that they don't deal only with glass, but they have also lectures in painting, drawing, woodworking, and many other things. We were also invited to Turkey in 2017 with Martina. We did a workshop in mold making and visited several beautiful spots around like Pamukkale, Hierapolis, or Laodicea. Turkey is a fantastic country, I must say. Our common joint exhibitions were 3 so far. This is the first one. This was the second one. This was the third one at the Museum of Glass in Kamensky Shenov. And we also took part at the exhibition Tribute to the Glassmakers in Svetlana Zazovo. You can see Family, which was designed by Martina, and I did this Malmström piece for the exhibition. And these 2 pieces are exhibited here at Biennale. We are very happy to be here. It's a beautiful place. We are here for the first time in Sofia, and we are really excited, I must say. Our hobbies, we love cross-country, down the river canoeing, biking, and picking mushrooms. Thank you very much for your attention.
I was always interested in how do you call it, translucent situations. When I was a child, I liked to when you have mist in the meadows, and then you see cows without legs, and I like it always. And when you're walking in the morning through the meadows, then you have always a strange feel, and I like that. And also on the water, and what I have to say about it, I see by myself that I later very interested in what life was doing. You know, when you were sleeping in your room and you saw the lights coming, and there's always a strange lighting. You see smoke and glints in the air, and I like it always very much. And in architecture, you make also spaces with glass. Sometimes in architecture is glass so fine and beautiful, but architects, we can have a lot of critics about architects because we see it on this building. We love the glass, we love the space, but the sunlight and the acoustic is very bad. The sun here not screams about it, and then you have too much light. So I think the organization here, we should stop with architects, what you can do about it with screens and things like that. Because we like to work with our glass, but it has always problems. But we can do a lot of it glass. And later on, I went to the College of Arts, and then I realized when I did the College of Art in the later years, for funny years for me, but I noticed by myself that I'm not an artist, because I not want to work in the studio, sitting alone and live there. And I think, no, that is not my life. And I was in Ronchamp, maybe you can know that place in France, and they built there in a church from Corbusier. Maybe you can see it here. And I saw also how the light came in the building, and I thought also, hey, I want to make that kind of buildings because that is what I want. And you have always some times in your life that you then happens something with you, that you understand how it works. Formerly at school you had chemists, and you get all kind of rules you have to learn, and you don't like it. But later on, you know, you understand the way how to do it, and then you like the job. And that's also in life. So at that moment, when I was in Ronchamp, I thought I want to be an architect because that's my line. So I did a study of architecture, and when I finished it, I was in Japan, and there was and I walked there, and then I realized that life is more than the spaces. You can make the spaces, and that's also making town. So after architecture, I did town planning. So I finished also town planning, and then it stops a little bit because you cannot go further on. You have to the College of Art, you have to study architecture, town planning. So I have to work, and in the beginning I worked for some town planners as a town architect. But later, in '85, I started my own office to make architectural things. And then we can talk about a lot about architecture, but I'm now interested in glass. And I say already, we can do a lot with glass, but we must always careful with the material, because it's so easy for architects to take glass and say, hey, that's the material, we want to work with it, but it has also a lot of problems. And I work a lot of for an international company, Pilkington. Maybe you've heard that it's a big glass factory. And at that moment, I realized that I was using in Holland. And in that time, when I worked for the companies, asked me all kinds of things from what you're doing with isolation with glass, what you're doing with sunlight with glass. And then I studied about that, what you can do with glass and what the influence in glass. So I work with the light, and I get the questions from the company, and I work for that company a lot. And well, at that one moment I thought, I see all the glass, and I know now at the moment a lot about the glass, technical glass, but I want to do it by myself. And I was working for a glass factory in Poland, and then I saw a little shop as I make glass, glass blowing and things like that. And it's not nice to say that, but I think that's terrible what people make it so. No, the Czech people are away, but you have to check Boheem's glass, very heavy, very, what my grandmother has on the table, the faces are so heavy. And I thought you can do more with that glass. So the first thing I met Neil Wilking, and maybe you've heard of him, he's an English glassblower, and he asked me to build his studio, so I'll make a design for it. And when the design was finished and we had a permit for the government, then he divorced. And then we have to say what we're doing with the money. And I say, oh, I want to work in a workshop, and you can help me. And it was a nice time. I went 2 summers to Vroom in England and worked with him. But the problem I noticed when you work sometimes in glass, and I enjoy it, because I make models in glass, and the first thing was glass blowing, and then noticed when you want to be a glass blower, you must have so much work in it, you have so much experience. So that was not for me, because the important thing for me was to make form, and to make the form that I can extrapolate it in the architecture. So I want to make new forms with glass, so I can extrapolate it in sculptures or in the architectural designs. So the first thing what I do was I thought that there was a new way, and I stopped with glass blowing. I stopped not with the glass blowing. The glass blowing stopped with me, because it goes in its own way. So I have heard the story before me about how the process is of mold making. So I make first the design, and then making the mold, and I do that. And after that, you make the model, you make the mold, and it was nice to do it. But that kind of working is quite similar as architects, and that is funny, because it is always teamwork what you do. You work always with people, and that is what I like to do. And also the way of working is exactly the same what I'm doing, because you see it from this exposition. There are so much different style. The style I have in architectural way, and what I'm making now is making sketches the first thing, thinking about it, how you have to work it. You make a design, and then you make a scale model of the design, and after that you make the technical drawings and you build it. So easy, and that's on the same way with the glass I make now. You make a drawing. Hey, you do that by a cup of tea, or you're sitting in the evening, or in the car. Sometimes you do something in the car, and then you make the drawing. You make the design, and you make the teamwork, and you make the sculptures. And that is nice to do it on that way. And also later on, yeah, it changed a little bit because I was looking for new things, because what I'm doing was on the old way, you know. I make a drawing with the hand, I make the model with the hand, and then and then you make the mold with the hand. And I think we live now so much years after and try to do new things to work the drawing on the computer, and then to make the model on with the printer. And we had that office, I stop now with the office, another guy takes the office over. But I make the models printing. But the problem was, not. I think that's the future, make the models on printing. But the problem now at the moment is I want to make bigger pieces, and it is a quite expensive way of working. So that's the drawing of the model. Here is standing, you make the drawing in the same way. Another thing, I was to make forms to use in the architectural, but I thought there are more similarities between architect and art. I think it is the same way to work, because an architect are making spaces. You know, you have the walls, and inside you have a space, and I want to do that with the same with the glass. But glass is the only material where you can make inside things, you know. So I make hollow spaces, and the glass is that are the walls. So yeah, that's my way of working at the moment. I make spaces and I make the walls of glass. So the only thing is what I'm doing now with the glass is working as an architect. So the same way of working. Yeah, the only problem is what you want, and that is with buildings also. When I started as an architect and I had office, we started with a little house, a little office, but later on we got to build bigger offices, and we did. And I always want to do that with the glass also. In the beginning I make small models, but later on the models became bigger and bigger. And also the work is heavier and heavier. When you make the mold, it is so heavy. So that's the problem what I have with the glass at the moment. So what I'm doing now again to make smaller pieces, because yeah, I'm too weak for all the heavy things. Another thing, so that's the way of working, and I like it. And the other thing that I realized that we need as glass artists, and there I'm happy with this exposition, that we need, we have our public. We need public to show our things, but otherwise we have a lot of pieces in the store and we don't need nothing with it. So I'm happy that this happened again, and we need it also, that we have more expositions. And this also 2 years ago in the Gas in Murano, there was a Bex exposition, but we have a lot of public, and that was nice, and that is good for the glass. Because we need public, but we need also our colleagues to talk about glass and to get new ideas. Because that is very necessary that we get new ideas, and also collaboration. I work with a Czech Radovan Richter. He's in Czech, and I work together because I make the molds and the models, and then he has a big kiln for to make the glass there. It's also fine that you have exposition and that you discuss with the colleagues about your work. Here with Lino, that he's talking about my work. And I have a big exposition on Murano by Berengo Studio. But I think it is necessary to talk with colleagues over the glass, but I think glass has the future. You see everybody is sitting on its touch screens and doing that in a medical way. is glass so important. But I think the important thing of the glass people, of the craftsmen, is you have need craft, the craft to do that, but you need also new innovations, because the industry has the new ideas necessary to make new things. Therefore, is it very important that glass artists work together, get new ideas, try to make new things with glass, and therefore is it important that you are here so this exposition are, and so you can talk about over the work. But I think artists must be very critical to each other, not publicly. I mean, you can talk with artists about the glass. When you do that, you help, and that's very important to make new things. And when we make new things in glass, then the industry comes later and make also new things, but you get also new designs. We work to a new world, and that is necessary. Okay, I know there is always an other side of the medal. When you have exposition, it's always work, and you have always transporting, and that's the only big problem of things, that it's always work, and transport and build up a new exposition is not always nice, but it's necessary. But glass is a very fine material, but it is fragile, and sometimes you are so lucky with glass because it is so beautiful. But sometimes when there is something outside, and one side is very cold, and the other side, when the sun is coming up, then it's 20 degrees, and the other side is 0 degrees, and then sometimes it's broken. But you always get more than that. Here I make a sculpture with raven, it's only one, but you get always more. And that's glass, it is fragile, but you get always more. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Hello. The aim of our presentation is to introduce you several important personalities who emerged from the glass studio at the Faculty of Art and Design in Ústí nad Labem, including our common creative platform, which we call Circumpunk. The glass studio started in 1992 as Jan Evangelista Purkyně University in Ústí nad Labem first visual art atelier. Graduates of a glass school are applying for studies here from Slovakia, ASEAN countries, and also from the former post-Soviet republics. As part of the Erasmus program, a number of students from all over Europe also complete internship with us. Following a 4 years founding stage, during which Mr. Pablo Mizera headed the studio, became a head of studio glass artist Derya in 1996. Together with him, Markéta Varadiová and later Eva Kovarenčová worked here as an assistant. As present, the studio is run by glass designer Marcel Mochal, who has narrowed the original body concept mainly to the glass design. The current management of the studio focused mainly on trends in design and mediation with new media such as video and projection. Our first professor, Pablo Mizera, studied glass with Professor Lebensky, but he is primarily a sculptor who, more than glass, worked with wood and stone in his practice. He was able to pass on the students a number of practical experiences in other branches of fine arts as well, thus providing them with a wide range of the opportunities for artistic expression and great creative freedom. In the concept of his successor, Ilya Bílek, the studio's study program was focused mainly on the basic artistic principles and specific properties of glass. Based on their knowledge, reflection, and practical mastery, students work on assigned topics. The traditional media of drawing and painting still had an important place in study. Ilya Bilek's evident artistic expression and the perfectly executed composition are the basis for his work. His technically completed objects consist the perfectly cut and glued parts, take entirely advantage of the capacities of the material glass, its transparency and its light reflections. Ilya Bilek likes contrast, whose he combines opaque glass with transparent glass, or flat forms with the three-dimensional forms, eventually forming well-balanced glass plastics. A number of interesting personalities emerged from this studio, so we will present at last a few of them here. Luba Bakitchova revises the traditional approach towards glass as a material and searches for its permanent art values. She doesn't get carried away by the primary glass effect, but she tries to understand and sees glass in its substance and natural behavior. The leitmotif of the Lubas is the glass sculptural art. There she brings the glass into a situation where it can display itself as an element whether capable of any reflection. Its form is often connected with another accompanying material, and such a contrastive relationship completes authentically the complex shape of true existential situation. The inclusion of concrete to the aesthetics of the impression of shapes was once already the subject of brutalist architecture. So far, no approach to these combinations similar to that of Luba Bakitchova has appeared. Both materials intermingle in a logical way. In the composition, they frequently represent a contrast of the incompatible. She contrasts hardness against softness. Other artist, Zuzana Kubelková, during the past 2 years has devoted her energies to glass and mineral textiles. Industrial fabrics, normally used for the like of insulation, protective clothing, or work with concrete and composite materials for aviation, have been melted down by the artist and transformed into fragile containers. The final works evoke a sense of crystallizing or of organically emerging out of the natural world. Zuzana makes a point of understanding the nature of every textile with which she works. And that means knowing how much fabrics to layer before heating and how to set the precious glass melting curve so as to prevent the material in the question from completely melting, but rather transforming into a desired inorganic lace. And information regarding the temperature at which a particular fiberglass material was originally created, as well as its softening and melting points, it's crucial for subsequent repurposing. But consideration must also be given to factors such as textile coarseness with impact head distribution in fabrics, and to speed at which she finished artwork can be heated in the oven. Martin Lubuchet currently works as a head of glass studio at the Technical University in Liberec. He is characterized by precision, attention to the detail, minimalist approach, and the use of universal geometric shapes. Whether he is fused sculptures or blown glass, they always have their own sense of order, even the accident harmony of spheres. He works as a part of a number of public and private collections. Lubuchet fused sculptures and blown shapes are verses on one mantra about the shape, expressively economical, rhythmically accurate, and aesthetically impressive. It focuses on the realization of glass objects intended in the interior space, not only as accessories, but as essential elements, concentrating attention and creating the atmosphere of the place. His works are a clear example of the free line between design and art. Our other absolvent, Irena Chipsova, during her internships abroad, she studied in Krakow in Poland or Pécs in Hungary, worked at the University of Sunderland in the United Kingdom, and completed a residency in Turkish Glass School in USA. She currently works as a development technician at the Brokis company in Janstein, where she also involved in design and technological processes, including the development of the new recycled glass panels. Her free works is characterized by an experiment with screen printing and the art of building glass material supplemented by the tubular light source. She is also a co-founder of the Parriott Glass Studio. Jitka Skuhrová-Kamencová, glass technology, contemporary Scandinavian design. She started as a painter of flat glass and linear decor. Based on a graphic concept can be seen in her works to this day. It derives its typical engraved decor mainly from watching nature. It is based, for example, on a nest structures woven by birds, nest of woven spiders, or grass stalks and grain carried by water or wind. Since 2007, she has been design luminaries and external designer for the Czech company Lasvit. Currently, her work is dedicated to the design and implementation of light sculptures in architecture. Eva Kolerenčová works as a designer in the area of jewel, interiors, and also in the field of sculptures and objects. Since the beginning of her PhD studies, began works with thermochromic and hydrochromic paints. A significant part of her work is represented by glass paintings with a landscape motif. Images work with the thermochromic colors, objects that can be divided into two larger units. The determining elements of one of them is the black color. It is not a compact black, it is variously surface treated to create an image of the landscape. It can be said that it acts as a graphic technique, but the surface of the glass is therefore a material completely atypical for this given topic, but only until we realize the whole tradition of the stainless glass in European art. The surface contrast with different degrees of gloss and matte creates an impressive reflection of the landscape. The colors used react to change in the temperature, and when we touch a human hand or the other heat source, we can see that change. Another set of paintings and the installation created from the user's hydrochromic colors. If I use their material characteristic to create architectural painting, which appear gradually as water slowly drips on them. Eva Kolerenčová owned this method of detection using the latest technological procedures. Dripping water causes the motif of the painting to appear slowly and gradually. My works explore various media. I'm working as a sculptor, painter, creator of site-specific installation and other conceptual projects. There is an important motif in my work, and it's mirroring. I use reflection of a glossy glass surface as a place to capture in real environment, projection surface, for objective events and more, for our acceptations which are not stable and unchanging, but are procedural and also contains opposites. I use these principles to create landscape installation and more intimate objects. Mirror objects and surface images deal with both literary mirroring, projection and preservation of the real environment, but also for intangible movement structure. They naturally work with the perception of light determined space, offering viewers an observation in the interaction of the object and its environment in which it's located, and their mutual interactions. Circumpunct is our together creative platform. Despite the fact that Eva and I have met on joint process and exhibition in previous years, there starts a more significant cooperation between us in 2020 when we founded the Circumpunct Studio. The term refers to one of the oldest symbols used in visual culture and associated with the sun and light. Our cooperation on realization in public space began with a small contract for the city of Kladno. There were 6 pillars in one of the streets that supported the retaining wall. People from the culture department of the city approached 6 artists to give them the artistic treatment of these columns as a tribute to 6 important personalities who have historically contributed to the development of the city. Kladno is an industrial city with a big tradition in mining and metallurgy. The column, compiled by Eva, was dedicated to Mr. Josef Beneda, the founder of an important metal factory. In addition to industrial elements, his company also created a small iron architectural details. Eva used one of the rare preserved original matrices, created a new form, and replicated the historical shape from synthetic resin. I worked with legacy of Mr. Václav Burger. The man discovered a coal seam in 1775, which was the birth of industrial coal mining in this region. The artistic solution draws on the combination of the color of burning coal and the chemical system of carbon. The individual segments are made too from synthetic resin and contains coal dust and pieces from the original place. Our next project, called Aurinia. Střekov Castle rises above the river Elbe as a natural landscape landmark. Therefore, we decided to create an object that visually contains this exceptional place with a deep history, with the contemporary culture space. Aurinia is Latin name for a plant who lights up Střekov rock with yellow flowers every spring, and we use the morphology of the flower as a motif for our object. Aurinia is made of flat safety mirrors to reflect the image of the sky when viewed from the castle, and shines into the distance for those who cannot see it from the valley and from the opposite rock. Here, the mirror functions as a medium that brings life into physical, but also spiritual form, not only as a material. Unfortunately, the aristocratic family Lobkowicz, which asked us for this realization, eventually withdrew from this project due to the financial complications, connection with the COVID. At the request of the Ústí nad Labem municipality, we choose another location for this object in the Ústí, just a few hundred meters away on the Větruše hill on the opposite bank of River Elbe. We placed it in the area of former vineyards, which is well visible from the river and from the viewpoint. And we are currently working on its realization. Monuments to coal mining traditions and mining accidents. We have created this project for architecture competition. For us, it's an emotional contrast to all disasters associated with the history of coal mining in the region of North Bohemia. Famous poet Johann Wolfgang Goethe once wrote about this landscape that it is one of most beautiful he had ever seen in his life. We had this sentence in mind when we decided to design this monument of tradition as a positive place full of light and hope. For the memorial, we used designated area on the edge of the square. The objects consist in 2 layers. The lower is one of concrete, and it appears is determined by the shape of morphology of the landscape. This part is set into a rectangle that fills the natural lawn. Tiny black segments of basalt are planted in the mass of the landscape, points reminiscent instinct settlements. Above the segment, in contrast to the natural rhythm of the contours and also to the solid mass of the concrete, a second layer floats, a suspended cloth formed by glass circles with a dichroic surface, arranged in a regular grid. The lower floor is created by three-dimensional printing from light gray concrete, and the cloth is carried by a stainless steel rope and consists of glass circular segments with a special dichroic surface, which change the light spectrum into a rainbow for the passage of sunlight. These iridescent glows are projected onto the concrete surface, which is colored and harmonized. Kerasia. Kerasia, the art object for the public space of the Prague peripheral district. The place that was determined in the competition creates a dominant point of this landscape, which, however, offers a unique view to the surrounding area. The newly formed cherry orchard with still immature trees gives the feeling of fragility and tenderness, which is associated with the symbolism of flowers in general and cherry blossoms which appear among the first from spring especially. Therefore, we decided to create an object that will support this exceptional place, depend the emotional connection between the landscape, human, and nature. Kerasia is the Greek name for cherry. We use the morphology of the flower, a 5-leaf flower, as a motif of our object. Kerasia is made of flat safety mirrors to reflect the image of the sky, and at the same time an image of the surrounding landscape. Is it connected heaven with earth? Is it close to height by humans, but retains to delicacy and emotional feeling of the flower? Its monumentality is not a question of size, but of proportions. When viewed up close, the viewer can read the reflections of individual landscape elements. When viewed from a distance, from a settlement a few kilometers away from the opposite side, Kerasia will be visible on sunny days at a point of light and glows. And other project, very fresh, unpronounceable. This project is connected with 3 pieces which we are exhibited here in the symposium. And this is other part of this project. The space of this church is filled with silence and light. When the pilgrim opens the door and enters, he sees the books on the benches. Several are closed, others are open. The books are melted from glass. The closed books are white and unpolished. The visitors may perceive that they are hiding secrets. The open books comes in 2 forms. Some have black pages. If you touch them, their color will change under your touch. Other books have a mirror surface. If you look at a book, and it allows you to look to places where your eyes would not be focused. The 3rd book is closed. Its content can be imagined. It's the reader who makes sense to the book, and it's the book that shows the reader of secret. And last one, this is a bonus for the end. 1 week old pictures from opening of our Together exhibition in the castle of Teplice. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
This program recorded accessible online there.
We will try to make this. Great. So if that is all, I will close the conference. And I think we heard very different points of view about glass today, and they complemented them perfectly. So thank you again for your contribution. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.